All right, welcome back everybody. So this week we're going to take a look at the surfprep sander and find out if it's worth the money or not. Let's get to it. All right, before we get into the video, I just want to talk a little bit about the sander. Now, I have actually had this sander for I think 5-6 years, somewhere in there. The mind is fuzzy, but I've had it a while. I was actually one of the very early adopters of this. My good buddy Bob Close saw this in a trade magazine. He called me and said, "Eric, you need to go buy one of these things." And we went and bought one pretty much immediately. And this thing has made me a lot of money and saved me a lot of time. Now this is not a commercial for surfprep whatsoever. I have no affiliation with them. I have talked with Hannah and Lewis a few times. Lewis more recently about some finishing stuff, but they're not paying me to do this video. I'm doing this on my own accord because a lot of guys have asked me if these are worth it or not. So I can talk about it all day whether or not it's worth it, but I'm going to show you, and then I'm also going to tell you a story at the end about the company itself. All right, so let's get to testing. All right, now before someone asks, my light setup is different than the surfprep. I just went to Lowe's and bought some of these cheap $20 lights that are on swivels, and I can swivel and move these things around however I need to get to my vision. I've never tried one of the surfprep lighting systems, so I can't talk about that. But this works great for me. I don't have any issues with it, and I can see all my scratches and everything. So if you don't have a light set up when you're sanding, I do suggest that. All right, so I'm going to sand this door. Now I'm using two different products. I'm using the 3x4 very fine pad and then a 1/2-inch pad. And my 1/2-inch pad is to get on my interiors in here, and I actually usually scuff my edges with the 1/2-inch pad, and then I do all my flats with this one. So I'm going to show you how I would scuff a door in real time and how quick it is. Here we go. This is how I would sand a door. Alright, that's it, and you can see how well it powders it up. One thing I will tell you is some of these water-based finishes don't like these pads. One of them is the Sherwin-Williams Chem Aqua. The first couple coats you're good, or the first coat you're good, and then as you build that thing, I don't know what the acrylics in that, it gets hot and will gum up these pads pretty quick. So you got to be conscious of that with some of the finishes. It tends to, some of them don't sand as well as others, and I've found that some sealers and stuff you have to go down to a fine pad, so you just have to find out what works for your situation. Now I want to show you something cool, like if you're doing whitewood sanding, something that's really cool. And I actually these foam interface pads, they're a 1/2-inch pad, and you can add sandpaper to them. So I'm going to take like an 80 on this, and I've got a bracket foot that I've made for a chest, and I will actually sand this down for you real quick here. Now, as you can see, this thing, it contours to it, and I mean, I'm pretty much almost rounded over now already, just with that little bit. You can see that. Okay, now I can also get in the interior. I actually will take it though a lot of times and just hand do that, but you can do that electrically as well. You can cut your pad up so that it fits in here nice. The only thing I wouldn't want to do here is because I have this flat spot, I don't want to roll into that. So I would want to cut my pad smaller, like right through here, so that it would fit inside that piece. Also, like a cabrio leg or something like that, same thing. There's a bunch of bandsaw marks on this. And as you can see, most of those marks now are already gone with just a little bit of 80, and I can use it to shape legs, any kind of curved things. And so when you're finishing, also you can stick these 1/2-inch pads on it and do the same thing, and it won't burn through your sealer coats if you're careful. Now I will tell you, on some of these doors though, you still got to watch these edges. Now if you're a smart finisher, what you'll do is, what I'll do is I usually take like a 180 or 220 and I pre-cut these edges, because any sharp edges, I don't care how flat the sandpaper is and all that, you can run into issues where you're running through that edge. Like if I tip that thing over, see, I've burned through. So you got to make sure that you keep it flat and you don't roll those edges. I've had some smaller profiles where that has like an edge and a lip on it, and I'd recommend cutting your pad up to do it that way. So that's about it. I just wanted to show you those quick things, and let me give you my final thoughts on the Surf Prep system. So what's my final thoughts on the Surf Prep sander? Well, for me, this was a no-brainer. I know it is steep. It's a $500 price tag, but I'm going to tell you, I made my money back on the very first job I did. As a matter of fact, when I got this sander, I was in the middle of a job that had 75-80 doors on it, giant kitchen, and built-ins with shelves. It was just a huge job, probably one of the biggest ones I've ever done. And we hand scuffed all of that. And in the middle of it, we got this. And the guy that was working with me said, "Why didn't you buy this 2 weeks earlier?" And I was like, well, if I'd have known it existed, I would have. Now, I also did something with my brother. He used to help me out, and I made him hand scuff a whole set of doors. And I said, "Hey, man, try this." And he got really mad at me. So, if you've ever sanded and hand sanded, it's just, like I said, it's a no-brainer. Also, in today's world, with competition being what it is, if you don't have one of these, and guys like me do, I'm killing you. I am killing you with how fast that I can do a job with one of these things. Okay, it literally will cut your sanding time in half. Okay. Now I also want to tell you a story real quickly about the company. Two stories actually. So recently I had an issue where we got a note from somewhere at some surf prep that they weren't going to drop ship the abrasives that I normally get. And Hannah and Lewis actually both called me and explained to me the situation, and that they were going to make it right, but they also explained to me why, and it made total business sense, and I totally got it, and I totally understand. And for a small guy, 1-man, 2-man, 3-man shop at times, that's huge that you get that kind of customer service. Now to top that, about 2 or 3 years ago, I had a short in the cord because the cord used to plug into the back of this thing. And I called them. I was like, "Hey, look, I need a new cord. Will you ship me one? And then just send me the invoice." And they said, "No, actually, we're not going to ship you a new cord. We're going to ship you a whole new sander because we don't want you to have any more issues." So they shipped me a new sander. And I got it, out of the package, and I tested it to make sure it was going to come on, and buzzed. I was in the middle of a building project, didn't think anything of it. I got to the point where I needed to use it for some sanding, and plug it in, beep, bop, beep, nothing. It's dead. Called them. We tried to do a whole bunch of stuff over the phone. Nothing. So I was like, guys, you got to help me out. I got to get this job out. So they actually overnighted me a brand new sander from California. Overnighted me. So that probably cost them almost $90 to have that, $90 to $100 to have that overnighted. Plus they gave me a new sander. Now, I don't know what your all's experience has been with tool companies and stuff like that, but that just doesn't happen in the industry hardly ever. I can count on this hand the companies that have done that to me, okay? And I can't even get to 5, okay? There's like 3. So I've been pretty much a loyal Surf Prep. I buy all their abrasives and pretty much everything Surf Prep, because a company that's going to take care of me, even if I have to pay a little bit higher price, I will do. That's just me. And again, Surf Prep hasn't asked me to do any of this. This is just me telling you my story. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be like this for everybody. But I feel confident if you have a problem and it's a legitimate problem and they're going to be reasonable and, try to help you out. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can catch me on Instagram at Eric Reason and Facebook at Eric Reason. And remember, test, don't guess. We'll see you next week.